Back when Germany was the German Empire and Italy was the Kingdom of Italy and England was the British Empire and every country had a cooler name, there was a big war, the Great War, World War I. Since it happened 110 years ago in 2024, the guns of the time were quite experimental. Nobody knew what worked, what didn't, and so. As a result, the firearms of the time were absolutely fascinating and nothing shows it more than the 2016 video game Battlefield 1. So this is a video for BF1 fans, gun fans and history nuts all alike about every gun featured in the title. So anyway, here we go. The Automatico 1918 is based on the Moschetto Automatico Revelli Beretta Model 1918. In this case, the M stands for model in a time when M mostly stood for military. Although it is technically an SMG, it was classified as a self-loading carbine at the time. It saw service with Italian forces, but whether it was used during World War I itself is unknown. The Hellriegel M1915, put simply, doesn't exist. There are only 2 photos of it and a single document from the Austrian National Library in which it's referred to as the Maschinengewehr das Standschütze Hellriegel, German for machine gun from Reservist Hellriegel. In other words, it was probably some funky garage project that never went anywhere. The M97 trench gun, or Winchester Model 1897, is a pump-action shotgun issued in fair numbers to American troops. 19,000 units would reach frontline service, and it was incredibly effective during trench combat, as the name implies. This particular shotgun is somewhat known for its ability to slam fire, a maneuver where the shell is set off and fed in the same movement and could be fired incredibly quickly. Although real and certainly a very cool maneuver, slam firing is of debatable real merit. The Model 10A is the Remington Model 10, another pump shotgun used by Americans, although in far fewer but still significant numbers. 3,500 units were modified with a shortened barrel, shoulder sling and bayonet lug before being issued to US troops in Europe. A common piece of funny trivia regarding both shotguns is that the Germans were very cross with America because they saw shotguns as inhumane. Very ironic considering their use of chemicals and flamethrowers. The Remington Model 10 was used throughout World War I, II and the Vietnam War. The MP18 is probably the best gun in the game because it's everything you'd want. Good in gameplay, looks cool, and it's entirely historically accurate. The Bergmann Maschinenpistole 1918 was the original submachine gun, and officially the only SMG used in the war. Its snail drum mag isn't even its own, being taken from the carbine adaptation of the Luger pistol, known as the Artillerie Luger in-game by the way. Although it came very late in the war, and quite a few were made, even though nobody agrees on the number deployed. The Germans say 17,000 and the French say 10,000. Either way, it wasn't rare by the end of the war. Double-barrel shotguns seem like a natural fit for World War I, but it's actually pretty bad when you think about it. Reloading takes forever and you only get 2 shots. Pretty rubbish for sustained fights over long range. France and Britain did give some to their troops, but never officially fielded them for these reasons, paired with the fact that they simply didn't produce shotgun shells because they didn't have any other. The SMG 08/18 is, like the Hellriegel, not real, as in it was never used in a fight to shoot at a person. It is real, however, that it was an experimental take on the close quarters firepower. What it is an MG08 that has been playing with a shrink ray. It's literally just a shrunken down version of the bigger mounted machine gun. Not too much else is known about it though. The Remington Model 8, or in-game the Autoloading 8, is a lame gun with a lame story. Designed in 1905, it was designed as a police weapon and was fielded in very low numbers by the French Air Force, the Aéronautique Militaire, presumably to be shot out of the back of an earlier recon plane. 80,000 were built, but the number used in war is unknown, although we know that that number probably wasn't very high. The 12G automatic refers to the Browning Auto 5, known as the first mass-produced semi-automatic shotgun, patented in 1900 and used widely during World War II. It was used in World War I, however anything regarding its World War I use is annoyingly rare. Although we have zero idea on the amount of guns that saw service, it was certainly present and was probably very effective. John Browning stays on stage for a bit longer with the Bar M1918. The Browning automatic rifle was rushed into production in early 1918 to get as many out there as possible, but the rush resulted in some defective guns. After a redo of the design, the Bar reached the front by September and was massively successful. By the end of the conflict, 52,000 had been delivered, with about 50,000 more on the way. The French especially were very chuffed with the Americans' gun savvy. Speaking of the Americans, it's Winchester again, with a Mr. Frank Burton that brings the Burton light machine rifle. In the whole wide world, there is only one Burton rifle, a functional prototype from 1917 made for taking out incoming observation balloons. Sadly, the two mags don't hold different ammo, both holds incendiary rounds, but the in-game method of switching mags is, in fact, accurate. The two mags were used so the operator could fire as many rounds as possible without stalling to look for another mag before the balloon passed. Finally, a standard issue weapon. The Carcano M91 was the Kingdom of Italy's gun of choice, although its name wasn't the Carcano. Carcano is the umbrella term for Italian bolt-action rifles for some reason. The real name was the Modello 1891 and had a carbine variant as well. The rifle variant was called the Fucile, and the carbine the Moschetto. That's about it for stuff, other than the fact that they sucked during World War II. The Cei-Rigotti, also called the Cei gas rifle, is incredibly fascinating since it was the first automatic rifle from quite a while before World War I. That's right, it was old by the time of the First World War. Although it was tested by Italy just before the war, it was never adopted and never deployed. The Chauchat LMG was the French standard machine gun from 1917 to 1918. It was monumentally slow, 240 rounds per minute or 4 per second, prone to jams from mud in its giant exposed magazine and just generally wobbly. It was very light and cheap though, since France didn't have any dedicated gun factories and just reused car and motorbike factories for it. That explains the big wheel, by the way. The factories just liked making round things. The Farquhar Hill rifle, presumably here to remind us that the Brits also exist, was an early semi-automatic rifle only designed in 1911, tested here and there during World War I soldiers, and eventually accepted as a standard infantry weapon, days before the end of the war. 10,000 were ordered, but none were ever delivered. The Federov Avtomat is in the running for being the first assault rifle, and also a rare case of being discontinued during the war. 25,000 were ordered, and a great big total of 18 saw frontline service. It fires the same ammo as an Arasaka rifle and amazingly was designed for use by a two-man crew. It was revived for use in World War II, but I just don't know much about World War II. So go read the wiki yourself, I guess. The General Leo rifle was apparently the first ever semi-automatic Chinese rifle, capable of swapping to bolt action on the fly. 10 were built and tested at the Springfield Armory in the US. Of course, it was never deployed. The creator, General Liu Qing'en, died from a stroke after a ship carrying one of his guns sank. Tests lasted from 1914 to 1918. The Gewehr 98 was the standard rifle for the German Empire between 1998 and 1935. The incredibly innovative Mauser bolt-action design was used by the Ottomans and Spanish as well. The Germans had 2.3 million at the dawn of the war, during which 7 million more were produced. Goes without saying, its presence in-game is very well earned. The Enfield 1914. This was kinda the British standard issue weapon for the Great War. As in the SMLE/short magazine Lee Enfield was a far more common version adapted with an extended magazine that increased the clip size from 5 to 10. So while the improved SMLE was the real standard issue rifle, the regular Enfields were used as sniper rifles. Might as well lob in the SMLE here too. The SMLE was the Brits' standard weapon, famous for something called the Mad Minute, a technique that allowed a single soldier to put 15 rounds down range and reload in a single minute. The Mad Minute was very effective in giving regular troops a degree of suppressive firepower, and it served all throughout World War II. Also, my buddy has a real SMLE bayonet. Now, although I left out all the handguns, a certain lovable friend of mine really wanted to see this, so here you go, bro. Designed by Austrian watchmaker Franz Funnel and funded by Georg Grabner, the 2mm Kolibri rounds out this video. Its name is German for hummingbird, very apt considering its cartridge still holds the record for being the smallest commercially produced bullet ever. Round sizes refer to the diameter of the bottom of the round. In other words, the Kolibri's entire round is as long as a 9mm bullet is wide. 9mm being considered too weak for military use, even back then by some countries. It was marketed as a tool for women's self-defense, although it wouldn't kill any would-be assailant as much as it would mildly tick them off. Well, this was unplanned, but being incredibly new to YouTube, I am a very slow producer and time got hold of me. So this video will be split into 2 parts, maybe 3 depending on if people want to see the handguns as well. Sorry about this, but also it's no big deal, hopefully. Please, however, do comment if you want to see a part 2 or if the gun stuff is a bit boring and I should talk about other stuff again. Other than that, I'd like to thank my mate itsmuffintimei for showing off his epic SMLE bayonet. His channel is linked and you should go say hi. Either way, have a nice day and go wash your dishes. Go wash your dishes, come on man, it's like, it'll help everybody, please man.